think Garthor was pretty squish. Oh, I thought right. Yo, the fuck out of here, nigga.
What is up, guys? I'm Highlands, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Magicka Warden build for the Scalebreaker patch. This is a build that's mainly focused around battlegrounds and small scale PvP. You can definitely run it in Cyrodiil though, in both campaigns, CP and No-CP. So I'll provide you guys with some CP at the end of this video if that's something you're interested in. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to go over my skills and attributes and my max stats and all that first, and then I'm gonna give you guys my gear, and I'll talk about that and some other substitutes for that, and then I will go over my bar skills, and then I'll give you guys a couple clips at the end to kind of see the build in action. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into it. For my race, I chose a Nord. I love Nords. They're really tanky. They're great in PvP. We get 1000 max health, and we get cold resistance and immunity to the chilled status effect, so we're not going to be getting rooted by ice walls all the time and stuff like that. We're going to get 1500 max stam, which helps us just stay broken free and unrooted a little more. That's always nice on a Magicka tune. And we also get 5 ultimate when we take damage, which can occur every 10 seconds. That goes hand in hand with Warden's already really strong ultimate regeneration, so that helps us keep our ults up all the time, and that's really good for us because we need that outgoing damage, and we have a lot of buff coverage from our ultimates and a lot of power coming from those. And we also get 4000 physical and spell resistance, which is really nice. That just helps us, along with our survivability a little more, helps us stay alive. So here's just a quick look at my max stats. It's about 30k. Max Magicka, I'm running 1 stam glyph on my helmet for some reason, so that should be about 30k. We sit at about 18.5k max health and just under 11k max stam. And we have just under 2100 Magicka recovery, which is nice and juicy. We also have about 750 stam recovery and 300 health recovery. Unbuffed, we're sitting at about 18.5k spell resist and just about 17,000 physical resist. We were also seeing about 7.6k spell pen in No-CP, which is really strong. That's really great. And this is without spinners too, so that's wonderful. As for my attributes, we're running 43 Magicka and 21 in health. The reason for that is because I'm running the ice cream, the ghastly eye bowl food, or drink, I should say. So this is giving us max Magicka and a lot of mag recovery, but it's not giving us max health like blue bi-stat food or purple food would be giving us. So that's why we have the 21 into our health here. And now I'll get into my skills. Like I said, I have this one max stam enchant for some reason on my helmet, but we are running a 5-1-1 build with Bloodspawn heavy helmet, Bloodspawn medium arm crops, and then we've got Bright Throat on our body pieces, and Necklace, or Buffer the Swift, on our jewelry and weapons. So for Bloodspawn, this is giving us stam recovery on the one piece, and when we take damage we have 6% chance to generate 14 ultimate, and then increase our physical and spell resists by about 6,200 for 6 seconds, and that can occur every 6 seconds. This is probably the best monster set in the game right now for PvP. 14 ultimate gen every time you take damage is insane. And the physical and spell resist is just so good. You can't pass it up for the uptime on it. So that's that. Bright Throat is a really great sustain set. We're getting 2 lines of max Magicka, we're getting a line of mag recovery, and when we have a drink buff active, we have 2,000 increased max Magicka, and we get an extra 150 Magicka recovery. So that just helps really keep our sustain up, and it keeps our Magicka pool higher. And then the third set, Buffer the Swift. This is a really nice set. It's giving us 1 line of max mag, 2 and 3 lines are physical and spell resist, and then our 5 piece is reduced damage taken from players by 10%. So that's flat mitigation. That is amazing at battlegrounds. Wardens get 8% extra reduced damage through minor protection at all times from our Ice Fortress, which is our armor buff. So that stacks for 18% basically, reduced damage at all times in battlegrounds and PvP. So that's so much mitigation that makes us really, really tanky and allows us to run around in this light armor and still be able to dish damage and not be such a glass cannon. In terms of my front bar, I'm running a lightning staff. I just do this for the lightning damage, for the chance at the minor vulnerability proc. But yeah, that's about that. I'm running sharpened to get the extra physical and spell pen. I feel like this spell, this attribute scales a lot better than Nern Honed for Magicka does, so that's my reasoning there. And I've got the Frost Glyph on that front bar because Wardens are getting 6% increased frost damage, so that makes for a nice little smack. And then I'm running Powered on my back bar with an Absorb Magicka enchant. I really like to have the extra sustain, so that's the reasoning I'm running a Magicka enchant. You can easily put a Berserker Glyph on here and go for the extra damage. Powered is good, but defending works really well too. If you want to be tankier on your back bar while you're doing your healing, that's perfectly okay too. In terms of our enchants on our jewelry, I'm running 1 spell damage, 2 magic recovery, and 3 arcane traits. These can be pretty up in the air, depending on kind of how you want to play your Magicka Warden. If you want to do more damage, you can definitely go 3 spell damage. You can also definitely go 3 magic recovery. 3 arcane isn't super necessary. Bloodthirsty. 1 bloodthirsty would be pretty nice because wardens don't have a class execute. So we have no source of an execute, so that just helps us execute enemies pretty much. It's pretty straightforward. But yeah, that's that. A couple other sets you can run on Magicka Wardens. I would not recommend taking Blood Spawn off, honestly. I know it's cookie cutter, but it's so good. It's just too good, honestly. You need the resists, especially when you're using Permafrost and you're getting in there, you know. We get 48% damage mitigation from Major Protection from Permafrost, 10% from Swift, and then another 8% from Minor Protection. So I mean, if you feel comfortable, you could take it off, put something else there. Troll King maybe. That would be up to you, but personally I like Bloodspawn. Necropotence is really good too. We get 3 lines of max mag, and our 5 item is when you have a pet active, you have 3,000 increased max magicka. And the Warden's Blue Betty does count as a pet. This is free to cast. Every time you cast it, it is proccing our passives to give us minor toughness, and it is also removing a negative effect from us. So this should have 100% uptime without a problem. So that gives us really good uptime on the Necropotence. You could swap these out for either, honestly. I don't think either of these sets are too pivotal. Warden has really good buff coverage, and it has a lot of room to play around with different items and stuff, different item sets. If you can't afford Necropotence, I guess you can run Crafty Elfique. Still get a lot of max mag, that would never be bad. And you can run those with any combination of these sets. You know, it's not gonna be the end of the world if you don't run Swift. You can definitely run Necropotence here and do a lot more damage. But I prefer to stay alive. I feel like Magicka Warden has enough damage built into its kit already. So I feel like that's not really an issue for me. But again, that's up to you. You guys can try that out for yourselves. Let me know what works for you. But yeah, that's that for my gear. So get on to the skills now. On our front bar, we have Screaming Cliff Racer, Growing Swarm, Deep Fissure, Blue Betty, Bird of Prey, and Permafrost is our ultimate. On our back bar, we're running Radiating Regeneration, Leeching Vines, Ice Fortress, Bursting Vines, Shimmering Shield, and Healing Thicket. So first of all, I'm going to say that these three skills, Deep Fissure, Blue Betty, and Bird of Prey, are pretty invaluable. And these are going to need to be on your bar at all times. So Cliff Racer and Growing Swarm, and then I guess Permafrost can be your flex spots. And then in terms of our back bar, you're always going to be running Ice Fortress. This is our armor buff. And then the rest of them, you know, it's really up to you. Warden, like I said, it has a lot of flexibility, so you can really play it how you want. So I guess I'll just get into the front bar first, and I'll explain kind of the flexibility of the back bar in a bit. So like I said, you're going to want to keep these three skills right where they are. At least for me personally, I think that's best. And the reason for that is because we are getting 2% damage done with every animal companion ability we have slotted. And these are all animal companion abilities, so we're getting an extra 10% damage on our front bar, stacking with the Minor Berserk. So that's 18% extra damage done on our front bar. That's crazy. That's so good. So not only that, we have 18% damage mitigation as well. So you know, this build really doesn't have insane max stats. Where it really shines is in the gameplay. In terms of Cliff Racer and Swarm, like I said, they're going to be proccing advanced species, so I think they're best. Cliff Racer is definitely a bit more flexible. It doesn't really have a lot to it, it just does damage. So you know, you could opt to go for, you know, Destructive Clench for a snare, or if you wanted to opt out of Growing Swarm, you could always use Destructive Reach. But if I were to run that, I would run an Ice Staff on my front bar, and I would just not run the Trifocus. Passive. But besides that, you can also run Impulse as a spammable, run like Ice Pulsar for the minor mangle if you're in like a small scale setting or like a group setting. Because Wardens definitely provide a ton of support. We have a lot of buff coverage, like I mentioned. We have a lot of utilities, so it's really great that we're also able to still do damage and be tanky. And that's what I love so much about the Warden. But yeah, that's kind of it for your front bar skills. In terms of your ultimate, you could always run Northern Storm, which gives you 8% increased max Magicka instead of the stun. But Magicka Wardens just don't have a stun. Warden doesn't have any class CC besides this Arctic Wind down here, which I don't even have morphed, because it's so bad and clunky, it's not even worth using. But yeah, the max mag is nice, but they're doing the same amount of damage. They're the same snare, and you're still getting major protection, so it's not a huge difference. You can also run Ice Comet from the Mages Guild. I think this is a really awesome ultimate, because we're getting that extra 6% damage to the frost damage right here from Piercing Cold. So we're gonna get that CC we're gonna get the snare, and then we're gonna have a ground dot that's pretty strong afterwards. So this also works really well. It just kind of depends on your play style, how you want to play, and what you want to be doing for your team. So yeah, that's our front bar. As for our back bar, got radiating regeneration, like I said, is our first skill. It's a heal over time. I really like this because it hits 2 other teammates, or 3 other teammates, excuse me. But it's a strong heal over time. I really like that it heals my teammates. You could definitely run the other morph of healing seed, which also provides a ground dot, or ground hot, excuse me. But it also has a synergy attached to it and a burst heal at the end. And this will proc your nature's passives abilities. So, for example, Emerald Moss increases your healing done with green balance abilities by 2% for each green balance ability you have slotted. So that's going to be increasing our Leeching Vine heals, your Burst Vine heals on whoever you pull to, as well as your Healing Thicket ults. But we'll get into Bursting Vines in a moment. Leeching Vines is a really great skill as well. It attaches to you and one of your allies, and every time you take damage, it heals you for just under 1700 health, which can occur every 1 second. And then anyone who's attacking you or your ally with the vines on them has minor lifesteal applied to them, so you get health back when you attack them and decide to go back on the offensive. But the best thing about this skill is that it's proccing accelerated growth, so it gives you major mending for 3 seconds if you heal yourself or an ally who's under 40% health with a green balance ability, which is Leeching Vines. So that's doing a lot for us without us really having to do anything at all, which is really sweet. You just put it on, and that's it, and it's there for 10 seconds. And these are both 10 seconds, regen and vines, so synergize, just throw it back up, just hop back on your front bar, and you don't really have to worry about a thing, and you're just doing a lot of passive healing now. So that's awesome. Our third skill is Ice Fortress. Like I said before, it's our defense buff. Not much to it. It's giving us major reward and major resolve, and we're getting minor protection as well while it's up. 8% reduced damage. I went over all that before. So now we have Bursting Vines. You're probably wondering, if anyone knows anything about Warden, why I'm running Bursting Vines and not the other morph. And if you've been playing Warden this patch, you would know that the other morph is so unreliable this patch. And the issue with that is that if your teammate line of sights you in the slightest bit, it can even be, like coming up the hill right here. And if my teammate's up here and I kind of lose sight of like his torso, my vine won't connect and nothing will happen. And the main reason we're using this is for the mobility. The heal is very nice on it, but like I said, we already have more healing, so it's not a game changer, and I prefer to have something that I know is going to pull me a little quicker and a little more successfully. So that's that, and that's also going to proc your accelerated growth as well, so it's really not a huge deal that it's not healing you. However, the heal over time on the other morph is really strong. So, it's not a terrible option. It's just that it's going to be a little more unreliable. And I personally have just been frustrated with it. So I've chose to start leveling Bursting Vines and try this out. So far, I haven't really regretted it. Our fifth skill, is Shimmering Shield. This is a really awesome projectile shield. It absorbs 1500 damage from 3 projectiles, and every time you absorb a projectile, you restore 750 mag, and you get Major Heroism for 6 seconds. So this restores like 2/3 of the cost of the shield, and you also get Major Heroism. enough said. That's awesome. And that's absolutely blocking any projectiles. So, you know, you can bursting lines to your ally, and then you cast Shimmer Shield, and then just block, and you're good to go. You're going to be healing out the butt. You're not going to be taking any damage, and you're going to be zipping across the map back to your team. And then our ultimate on our back bar is Healing Thicket. I like Healing Thicket more than the other Morph Enchanted Grove because in a team setting, it's really nice to be able to have healing on a static skill after you leave the area of the skill, and that's exactly what Healing Thicket does. The healing over time will continue to heal you or your allies for 4 seconds after leaving the forest. So, you know, you throw that down when you're kiting back and you're taking a lot of pressure, and you can't just stay there. You can never really stay in one position, so that allows you to get a little more out of the healing. And you know, it's only a 6-second duration, so if you throw it down kind of in front of you, you run through it, and then you run out the other side, you get the entire heal. See the buff goes down right as the tree goes away. And this is a freaking awesome skill because we have so much ult generation already. You know, if you're in a battleground and you're taking some really serious heat, you can almost have this skill up on cooldown. It's really cheap, it's 90 ultimate, so you know that major heroism, and you're getting ultimate with blood spawn, so if you're getting dogpiled, you're gonna have this up super fast. So that's pretty awesome. Some other good skills you can run on your back bar: Corrupting Pollen, like I mentioned before. Either one of these morphs are really good. It supplements the Emerald Moss passive. The Corrupting Pollen gives you an AoE Major Defile, which is really awesome. And then it still has the burst heal attached to it, and it still has the synergy attached to it for your allies as well. So there's a ton of utility in that skill. Lotus Flowers is alright. We're not really going for crit, so we don't really need major whatever the major spell crit buff is. It's eluding me at the moment, but this also gives us health back on our light and heavy attacks. I just prefer Leeching Vines because I like the lifesteal more than just the lighter heavy attacks. Personally, I feel like it's a little more healing when everything you do heals you instead of just your light attacks. And I also like that it's attaching to an ally, giving me more chances to proc accelerated growth. I definitely would not recommend using Fungal Growth or Enchanted Spores or whatever the morph is. If you're playing a Stamina Warden, Soothing Spores is alright because it's a stam burst heal. But in terms of Magicka Warden, Fungal Growth is really bad. It's really expensive. And it's not a very big burst heal at all relative to how expensive it is. It costs 4,100, and the unbuffed tooltip I have is 5,400. So yeah, that's pretty bad. Yeah, we also have Polar Wind, which is a really good skill. This is a heal, but next patch this is going to be our stun, so people probably will not be running the Polar Wind morph. But for the time being, it's alright. 5.3k burst heal, but it gives us an additional healing over time, and it also heals an ally. But the thing with this is that it scales off max health, and it is also kind of expensive. So that's pretty much it for my Magicka Warden build, guys. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching everything. I hope you guys found it helpful, and if you guys have any questions or comments about it, definitely leave them below in the comment section. If you got any constructive criticism for me or things I should improve, because you know this is my first build video. I'm I'm definitely open to positive feedback. So I would really appreciate that too. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. My Twitch link will be in the description and in my channel. You guys can definitely tune in and watch me play and watch this in action and some other builds and stuff that'll be in the works. Definitely make sure to subscribe. Don't miss out on the future build videos and content that I'm going to be putting out. And yeah, feel free to leave a rating on the video too if this helped you out. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.